Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for November 2nd, 2018. I am Dave Slusher, joined with my colleagues Andrew Barnes and Chuck Tomasi. Welcome,
Hey.
gentlemen. Welcome, everybody who's watching.
Yay.
We are going to return to the world of Andrew's update set tracker, update set manager. What's the actual brand name of this? Have we branded this thing yet?
I am rebranding. I'm in the process right now. Update set build tracker.
Update set build tracker.
And just abbreviated to build tracker.
Give it a friendly name like Kesha.
Alrighty, so we were going to return to that. Is this part 3 of this?
I think we're on like part 5.
Okay, right. It's a saga. So anyway, we will get to that in a second. Let us go around the horn and give our longer intro. We'll start with Andrew.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Barnes, developer advocate at ServiceNow. I have been at ServiceNow for about 2 months, which is super awesome. I'm having such a great time. Been on the platform for about 4 years as a partner and a customer a couple of times, and now at ServiceNow. Been doing the show here with you, Dave, for quite a while and really enjoying it. And just super excited to be here today. For you, Chuck?
Hey, I'm Chuck Tomasi, Senior TPMM at ServiceNow. Been here about 8 years and a customer for a couple before that. You may recognize me from other videos like Tech Now. We've been doing that for almost 6 years. It's crazy but true. The live community live stream that I do most weekday mornings. And Tech Shorts, along with, of course, Live Coding Happy Hour. Happy to be here and excited to see what we're going to build again today and drink some beer. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. I haven't had any Halloween candy. I'm just revved up from a good week.
All right. And I am Dave Slusher, developer advocate with ServiceNow in the platform business unit. I am getting dangerously close to my 5th anniversary with the company. Next month.
Wait, no, I thought you started in October, or did you interview?
I started in November. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're going to do it while we're on our trip, right, Dave?
It may be the day. It is going to be the day before I get back. So November 18th, I think, is the actual day. So yeah, that will be 5 years and almost just over 3 years in this role, and which is getting close to double the average because people in this role tend to burn out in 18 months. So we're survivors here. And with that, before we begin the technical part, let us go around the horn and discuss the most important part of the whole proceeding. What you got for us, Andrew?
The most important part of the proceeding today for me is Young's Double Chocolate Stout.
Again? Was that 2 weeks in a row?
It is 2 weeks in a row. But this is the only stout that was at the store I was at for my chili I made this week. And the only other beer I had was Yingling. So I had to suffer through having this twice.
Stark difference between Yingling and Young's Double Chocolate.
All right, Chuck.
I have from what is this? Wren House Brewing Company here in Phoenix, Arizona, the Fest beer. You can see it looks like a circus tent or something, but this is a lighter thing that Mike Stockman brought over Sunday, I believe it was. Mike Stockman being our Phoenix Developer Meetup organizer. Some of you may recognize the name from the Developer Meetup circles. And this is a leftover that he had left, and I am happy to partake.
Well, thank you, Mike.
And I am drinking a fine Abita Purple Haze Raspberry Lager. I am a very proud alumnus of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and I lived not that far from Abita Springs. It's like it's kind of between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And this is one of my favorite beers of all time.
They have a raspberry? I thought there was like a grape or blue. Are there more than one Purple Haze?
I think Purple Haze is always raspberry. I used to drink this.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to drink this back when it was not bottled, but the only way you could get it is if you lived in keg transport distance of Abita Springs. This is like, I was in grad school from 95 to 97. And so like in that era, it was not widely, it's hard to remember back to like how regional beer was back then. But boy, I've been drinking this for 20 some years. And
kind of how Leinenkugel started out.
Exactly.
It's freaking awesome. So
Oh,
just to mention real quick, Chuck was talking about the developer meetups. We've got over 50 chapters now around the world. So if you have a local meetup, please go to meetup.com and go RSVP and join the meetup and contribute and even help organize them if you'd like. If you don't have one near you, reach out to Dave or I, and we'll get you set up with how to get rolling on one. And as always, go to developer.servicenow.com to get learning plans, your personal developer instances, and our blog.
all righty. And with
Nicely
that,
done.
all right, I'm turning off the camera and let us begin the screen share.
All right. Let us begin the screen share. To the screen share we go, to the Batmobile. All right. So we're revisiting the build tracker. And we're also so I've had quite a number of customers reach out and say, hey, I really want to get my hands on this. And can it do X? The proliferation of the number of things that are X is requiring a little bit of an architecture change from how I have set this up previously, which was I did a lot of instance to instance one-way transference of things, and the new design pattern is going to be more of an e-bonding pattern. So I'm going to take the build tracker record, and I'm going to put it in all of the instances that it needs to be in. And then anytime an instance needs to do something, it's going to update its build tracker record. And then that will sync to the other systems. And if that causes them to do something, they will do that locally to the records that are on that instance. And part of the reason for this is there are lots of development shops that do not have their stories in the same instance as their actual like production instance. So there's partners that work with companies that have their stories in their instance. So there's several requirements that may require some e-bonding aspects. And so that's the architecture change that I'm going to make today. That's going to enable me to add the other features on top of it that really get to what the requirements that folks have brought to me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over to Flow Designer, and we're going to start this process of Flow Designer here. So what I did is I actually opened up. There are 3 actions out of box in a London instance that are provided by ServiceNow for incident e-bonding examples. So I've got those 3 actions open here. You can we're going to drill into some of these details. But
you can take apart the out-of-box actions.
What did you say, sir?
You can take those apart. You can look at the contents of an out-of-box action.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
This is a read-only action.
Sure.
But I can look at the contents and see how they built their example and use that as the template for how we're going to build what we're going to do.
Can you duplicate an action?
You can duplicate actions, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
So there is a copy action here in the little shish kebab. What do we call that? I think it's like the
kebab.
The kebab.
Yeah,
the kebab.
The hamburger.
No, the hamburger is the 3 horizontal lines.
The hamburger is
okay.
Hamburger and that
is this one.
That's a hamburger. Yes. The
That's
other
3
kebab.
kebabs.
I've never heard this term before.
I learned it about a month ago, and I can't stop telling people about it. It's a great, whether it's horizontal or vertical, it's a kebab.
It's a kebab. All right. So we've got 3 actions that have been created: create remote incident, look up remote incident, and update remote incident. and we're going to do very similar actions for what we're going to do. So we want to create a remote build tracker. We want to update a remote build tracker, and we want to look up a remote build tracker. And so that is the goal for today, is to get the at least one of those complete. And the first reasonable one I think to do is create one. Because it's tricky to update a remote action if it doesn't exist yet. So let's go ahead and get started. So, I'll actually open it up to you guys. Should I copy this one and try and start from that or not?
My instinct is to copy whenever possible because it'll reduce the errors that you put in. Theoretically, reduce you won't spend as much time going, oh, I missed this. Or
well, let's give it a whirl and see if it's helpful. And if it is, we'll do it. And if it's not, we'll fail quickly, I think. Right?
That's the key, I guess it depends how how familiar are you with e-bonding? Like I would start with the copying because I have no background in it at all.
So I'm familiar with doing e-bonding, but I'm not familiar with how this example is set up.
Then I would copy. Yeah.
So I'm going to copy it. We'll see how it goes. And we'll hopefully fail quickly if we need to fail. Oh, look at that. Cannot read property server of undefined and didn't populate looks like any of the steps. Well, thanks.
Fail fast.
fail quickly.
Faster than that.
All right. So let's close that. Let's reopen our action. So remote. Create remote. Now let's make a new action. We're going to say create remote build tracker. We are going to put it in our application, which I believe I called build tracker. Look at that. And that's all we're going to do for now and there. I'll give a description. Really? I guess it. No, I created it with that name already, and I closed it, but I didn't delete it, which is what I really want to do. Just delete this one. Or not? Is there not a...
Not from here, but what about from the homepage?
Yeah, I guess let's see. Go away. Yes, please. Hey, it actually did populate them. Hey. All right. We're going to copy it one more time.
Okay.
And give it a little more time to
do its thing.
Because apparently I was just impatient and failed too quickly.
Didn't it give an error?
It did throw an error, and it didn't render the
action successfully copied.
But
there you go. It works.
They are there. All right. So the first thing we're going to want to do is change this to
check your inputs.
Build tracker, and we are going to want to what is reference?
Yep.
Build tracker. There we go.
Actually,
update set tracker.
The one thing I found that you can't do that I wish we could, it's pick a table, then pick a record. Kind of like you can do in some of the built-in actions. So if I said, hey, pick, like if you're, I think we ran into this when we were trying to do like an action version of gs.eventqueue. Like you got to have that glide record piece in the middle. Like what record do you want me to point to? I haven't found a way to do that in an action, a home built action yet.
So let's, so we've got our create payload step, which makes sense for the first thing is, build what we want to send over there. right? So we want to get our build tracker sysid, and we can even just validate that that's what they're doing there, like that. Lovely. Because if we're copying, we might as well, copy shamelessly.
Right.
All right.
We're inspired.
We're inspired by this example. All right. So the next thing is it's going to build the payload for me. So this is going to be a script include, and we're going to shamelessly, look at that and copy it as well.
Oh, you're going to take the whole kit and caboodle. I thought you may have already had your own payload builder.
Nope. No. I just this is all brand new today. Like this is
okay.
I made this plan an hour ago.
These are brand new requirements, brand new everything.
Yeah.
Development goes fastest when you're the one making it up.
It sure does. So there is a payload builder script include that comes with this spoke.
And it's not too nasty.
It's not too bad. Basically, it just stuffs all of the display values with the field names into a JSON object. It's pretty straightforward action.
One function and that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to do the same thing. You'll see the UI action I have that's global here was from today's share spotlight.
Ooh.
Which fill mandatory fields is actually a really super handy UI action that I'm now adding to my kit of things. I wish I had that when I was testing change functions for my last job. Because
give me the Reader's Digest. What does that do?
It goes and looks on the form you're on for any mandatory field that's not filled in, and populates it with a valid entry. And
so just like picks the first choice out of a choice list or what?
So if it's a reference field, it'll do a query to that reference field and get an active record and plop it in there.
Okay.
The checkbox, it'll check the checkbox. If it's a choice list, it'll get one of the choices and choose it. It's super handy. And I go into some detail about how it works in the blog from today.
All right. And does it respect UI policy mandatory as well, or just dictionary mandatory?
It respects all of the ones that the form knows about right then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty great. So let's see. We're going to, replace the word incident with the word build quite a bit here. Tracker. So we're going to create a tracker payload. We're going to take the tracker sysid input, and then we're going to we're going to copy that bad boy, put it there. I almost want to just find and replace incident.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's going to be there's going to be a mistake because of that, but I am willing to live with that.
There's a lot of them, so
I'm willing to live with the possibility of mistakes. There is actually a find and replace in here that I have never used. I always use a text-based tool.
I'm with you. I don't know why.
I don't think I have ever used this.
Try it.
Ever. But here we go. All right.
Oh, okay. It does what you expect.
It does what I expect, which is great.
I forgot it was even there.
I need to get my table name. Because I don't ever remember anything. So I'm going to query that table. I'm going to get that sysid. And now I need the field names that I care about. All right. Obviously, they are different field names than for incident. So let's what we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of most of these, and we'll just do like 3 to start with.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'll add the rest of the fields later.
Oh, you
so
know,
that we don't.
you could use that little comment icon to just comment them out.
Yeah, but I'm just going to build more of them later.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Um, let's just go
Do
get
those
the
fields
ones that.
apply to your table? You have an assignment group and all that?
No, that's why I deleted most of
I
them. I'm
gotcha.
going to my table to see which fields I really, really, really need. And I'm going to update those 3 with the ones I really need.
Go
And then I might need more of them later, and I'll add
state.
them later.
All right.
So I want state, which is this one. Where
I was just
is.
thinking about the philosophy of filling that object. If it were me, I would have had an array of field names and then used the array notation to populate the object and use a get value that way. Although you'd still have to bounce between whether it's get value or get display value. So maybe that wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, there are a few ways we could go about tackling getting them. In fact, I mean, we could even script the whole thing, just get all of them. But I don't want to do that
No.
because I want to be very explicit on the ones I get here.
Sure.
So I want state, which is where's latest state was the one I was really caring about. Latest state, very very sneakily named there.
Wait, you've got it in a scope, but it's called U underscore.
So the new table is actually going to be a scoped one, but I
Okay.
haven't finished building that. So we're using
Gotcha.
the unscoped one at the moment.
Oh, okay. This record is in the global application. Sure.
It is. Good catch there, though. So yes, you do not need U underscore in the scoped versions, but there are a couple of places where the system still defaults them even when you're in scope, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Couldn't figure form designer does that. Like U underscore choice underscore 3.
Okay, so which things do I really need to sync? I want state. I want the task.
Scope.
I really want the
It updates
task
that
and
name?
the scope. So task parent for sure needs to go. And then name is certainly a good one. Where's name? I know
Who's
it's on
updates
here
that name or
somewhere.
dev name?
You dev name.
Yep.
Name. And then I said one more scope, right? Where's scope?
Oh,
here it is.
Yeah.
Use scope. I thought I paste. All right. And I am the laziest lazy.
Inside the quotes. Get in there.
Get in there. All right. So I've got a name, a task parent, the state, the scope. That's probably a reasonably good start.
Commas are all in good place. Just doing a little sanity
Commas
checking
look
for you.
good.
Now, I'm going to be pedantic.
Sure, go ahead.
You should have those key names or the property names in double quotes. I have been barked at by some system somewhere that says, no. You got to have that in double quotes.
Really?
Yeah. Now, ServiceNow's JavaScript doesn't care. But I have run into, I forgot where it was. It was like some JSON validator that went, no.
So
I'm going to say that's its problem and not ours. I'm not going to worry about that one. The only this is the one where I had some hangover from some previous language, like, because didn't I think that there was some sort of value interpolation, which I think maybe even is Perl or something like that, that is not a difference in JavaScript. In general, like the only time I really care is if it saves me some escaping, because because you're surrounding one with the other and then you'd have to escape it otherwise.
That's a good point. The more quotes you throw in, the worse it gets when you're embedding JSON inside of JavaScript, inside of, you're trying to generate something dynamically.
All right, so I got rid of a bit of script we didn't need. I changed 2 of these from get display values to get values, because these are actually reference.
Oh, that's interesting. Sean Dollar says JSON.stringify is going to add the quotes for you.
All right. Well, lovely. Thank you, community. So that seems like a reasonably good start on the things that I absolutely must have to get rolling. I'll probably come back and add some more stuff to this payload builder prototype later. But that seems like minimally viable for the creation step. So that seems reasonably straightforward. All right, let's go reference that now. So we've got this guy. So here we are in our payload step. We're going to create our payload. We are going to send it the build tracker sysid. We want to create a new payload builder object. We want to give it the correct name of our function, which is here. We want to give it the correct input name, which is here. We want to stringify that and then send it to the output. Any questions about this step so far?
Nope.
No, looks good.
All right. So we're going to take our input from our flow. We're going to then extract some data from the record that we're saying it needs to be synced. And we're going to make that an output variable data pill that's in JSON for us to reference in the next step. All right. Nice. Let's save. We like saving. Makes me feel happy to save. All right. So the next step is we're going to want to use the API to connect to our other system. So first step here is we're going to have to switch this out because we don't want to use the out of the box connection alias, right?
Yep.
So
you want to go make your own connection alias.
We're going to go make our own credentials and credential aliases. And we just had a fun time this week doing this. Dave and I did. We bashed our heads getting refresh tokens from YouTube. So here's the out of the box one. There's not much there. We're going to build our own. So new one is going to be e-bonding. HTTP, go. In fact, I probably should be a little more specific. ServiceNow e-bonding. Yeah. You don't like spaces. That's fine.
Because it has to use it on the ID.
It could have just substituted it just like I did.
I know. That's a lazy programmer.
All right. So now we've got that alias and we need to actually create a connection. So we're gonna call this our dev instance connection. We don't have a credential yet. This is the correct alias. We want to point it at another instance, which we have one right over here, ready and waiting and happy to have us right here. Now we need to get a credential going. So we don't have a credential yet. Let's make a new one. And for today's purpose, we are not going to do OAuth because we're terrified of OAuth. No, we're not terrified.
Oh, I understand it now more than I ever have. For the first time ever, I feel like I actually have some minor understanding of something to do with
Good. We're going to finish this YouTube thing later. Dave on the line.
Yeah, we worked through it pretty well this week, Chuck.
Good.
So we're I don't think we're going to run into that issue.
You can enlighten me with your secrets.
All right. So we're going to. I thought actually I I think I already have basic auth credentials for this. We'll just make new ones. Dev instance. Live code happy hour, admin. Go. All right. Let's see. Are you a happy guy? Hey. Save. All right. You look like a happy connection. All right. So now we have a connection. We're not going to use a mid server. We've got an endpoint. All right. Let's reference it. So back to Flow Designer we go. We're going to switch connection aliases. We're probably going to have to give this. No. Look at that. It even refreshed. That's awesome.
Wow.
I was expecting a refresh being required, but
I'm surprised when Flow Designer does that too. It's gotten me, and the new mobile designer in Studio coming out in Madrid does that too. We're getting really good at anticipating and refreshing when we need to.
So just because we love it, if you're not familiar with the REST Explorer, the REST API Explorer is awesome. The table API is what we're going to use today. We're going to hit the update set tracker table.
And what are you doing in the REST API Explorer that you are going to get out of here?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to pull it up and say, we already know where we're going to go with this. But in case you didn't, this is how you do it, which is you come to the REST API Explorer and you figure out how to get your data through the API Explorer. We're already familiar and we already have it here. We just need our table name right there, which we have handily enough right up here. All right. So we have our resource path, which is here. We are going to do a post. We're going to send it, not these. No, I don't want to send. This is for creating a remote. I'm going to send it instead. Some other things. Display value is fine. I actually want to send it the name. So I'm curious why they sent the. Why did they put the number and correlation ID in there?
In where?
So sysparm fields here. Oh, that's what they're getting back. That's why. I want to get back. What do I want to get back? I want to get it's. I want the dev ID. No, that's I want just dev ID.
Yeah.
I want the I just want the name dev ID for
you dev ID or you dev name?
Yeah, you underscore
dev ID.
Right there.
And the task. I don't think I need anything else right now. I think that's all I need. Let's get back the name just for funsies.
Okay.
Because getting a name back is nice. Or not.
I hate it when that happens.
No? You don't want to?
Just type it in.
Okay. No. Okay.
Wow.
It was trying to catch up with me apparently. You dev ID, you dev name. All right. And we want JSON, that's fine. And we want to send the payload body from the last step. That's definitely okay as well. It almost feels like cheating so far.
It's too easy.
That does not feel like cheating to me. It feels like being right in the pocket.
All right. So at this point, what we should have is we've now connected to that other instance. We have sent them a payload of the data that we want to create on that table. And we are expecting to get back the dev ID and the dev name. But we're also sending it the dev name. That's just because I want to see something. All right. So that should be okay. Now we want to parse our response. So we're going to get input variables. They do anything here for that? Yeah. So they're getting the sysid and the remote incident status code. Give me status code. Give me remote incident. I want the output from
response body. It's under remote incident. Right there.
There it is. Response body.
We'll probably want to change the name of that.
Yeah, from remote incident to remote
remote instance, remote something.
Okay. I was looking for the
step 2 name.
Right. Hilariously enough, I believe someone learned just this week you could rename these.
Yes, I had no idea that those were renameable until I accidentally clicked one.
Look at that remote tracker. All right. So we got our response body. We got our status
code. The data panel has the right name. Yay.
And now we want to actually extract that response body. We're going to check our status code. So we're parsing our response, and the inputs they look good. So we're going to take our response body. We're going to check to see if our status isn't 201,
which is record inserted.
Yep. And then we're gonna, do some error messaging if it is, and otherwise we're going to take the response results, put it in results. We're gonna get the number. We don't need the number.
Where do you see the results of the throw?
You would see that in the test.
Yeah, so that'd be in the test. I don't know if you'll get it anywhere else. I don't.
So it's on that operational screen for either test or when you're running a flow.
I suspect, although I don't know this for a fact, that would bubble up to an error log, but I don't.
Okay.
It's just a gut feeling. That's not.
Yeah, that's a gut feeling for me too, but I'm not. Got no idea on if it actually does that or not. Tracker. We don't need a number. We're not actually doing a number for these trackers. So we don't need that. And as far as correlation ID, do we need that even?
What do you want to send back to the step 4?
Yeah. What do I want to send?
Well, you dev ID.
I need the dev. I need the dev ID for sure. Because I'm going to update that.
Okay.
So that's essentially my correlation ID as far as this logic goes, is the result dot ID. So result bodies coming over from here. So it's going to be U underscore dev ID.
Mm-hmm.
U underscore dev ID is going to be my U underscore dev.
Might as well keep it consistent.
Yeah, be consistent. And so this is going to be down here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get rid of this guy. Type is going to be a string.
String should be fine.
It is a reference ID, but it's a string as well. And that seems reasonably okay. I don't see anything else jumping out at me that looks unusual or unreasonable to do. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our build tracker record and we are going to update from parsed response the dev ID.
Your build tracker record disappeared and your table is still blank.
Yeah, click the
optional drag in a add field value. That's what I did. I dropped it into here, which was bad.
It does seem a bit like there's a data pill picker there.
What is it for, though?
Well, yeah, what does it do?
I actually don't know what this does. Drop in a template to define.
It's optional. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's optional. I guess that's why I've never used it. It's optional.
I think whatever you put in there wasn't the template, and it just kind of splatted everything.
Made it angry.
Okay, and rename your step.
Update the tracker. All right, so grab our build tracker object that we inputted, and then update the dev ID, which is really the only thing I'm getting back from that I care at that stage.
Right.
There will probably be some other things I need to do later, but this will be good for validating that we're on the right track. I feel like
I'm digging it.
I think we're ready to give it a whirl.
Let's do it.
I think we throw this bad boy in a
test. Throw it on a flow.
In a flow and go.
Do you have a record identified as your test one, or do you need to create one for that?
I might need to create one, but we'll see in a second. So we want to create build trackers. So our trigger is we got a record created on the build tracker. Sorry, wrong table.
Update set record tracker. That's not a build tracker table though.
Yeah, it's update set tracker record.
Oh, okay.
That's the table.
So you're just using the one from the trigger. Okay.
Yes. I got lost for a second, but that is what I want to do is when that's created, send that record to my action. All right. Now we need to go make sure that there is one. So let's go make sure there is a record, which there's not. All right. So let's make one.
That's why the pull down didn't have anything.
Stories. New story.
Tell me a story, Andrew.
Update set trackers, create a new one. Submit.
Submit or die.
So we've got a record there on our target instance. Yay. And now we want to test this against that record. Run test. Let's see how we fail.
No.
That was that took a nice long time. So I was doing this with all the stuff I was doing this week. Is the longer it took, the happier I was.
green. Look at that.
We
have the right payloads.
Quite a bit of green. Wow.
And your UDev ID came back. Did it update the record?
And we've got the name. We've got a 201. That's actually looking pretty nice. Let's see if UDev ID was updated.
You have to break something because we still got 15 minutes.
The number of times that I've had to end the show on
a low note.
On a low note.
Yeah.
We've got a UDev ID. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So now the next thing is let me pull over the other instance and see that record was created the way I wanted it. Come on, you can do it. Update set trackers. I'm pretty excited. It created it.
Cool.
Yay. That's pretty freaking awesome. I am pleased. Your offering has pleased me. Look at that. That is just magical that it worked.
So this is so what you've got going over there, that's not like final, right? That's provisional just to get this working. But there's more like in practice you'd need more information, right?
For the initial create, that's actually all I need.
Okay.
Is that ID? Yeah.
Was what we just did. So
okay.
We're actually reasonably close on the create. Now, what's going to happen is sort of the next iteration of building this is I'm going to have triggers on the remote instance that's going to do things when that happens. So right now, what happens when I'm building, so when I hit new here, what's happening on the target instance is it's actually creating the update set right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to abstract that away. So I'm no longer going to do that from this new button. The new button will actually just be local. It will create the record local, and then that will trigger the sync between this system and the other system. And then the other system will go, oh, I've got a new update set tracker. I'm the dev instance. I need to make a new update set. It will create that locally. It will store that in the build tracker. And then that instance's build tracker will sync that data back to me, the mothership here.
Do you configure, like, is there a property that says I'm the dev one? How does it know it's the dev one? Okay.
So there is a configuration that says who is the development instance.
Gotcha. Okay.
So 71969 knows that it's the development instance. So it's the instance that will create. And when I'll probably, probably the next thing I need to send it is the state. So in my new table, I've made a state field that's different than the existing one. And that's going to be the state I send it on a new create is going to be create update set. Then the dev instance will receive that build tracker request essentially that says, hey, I've got a new build tracker that says build a dev update set. I'm the dev instance. I will build an update set, put it in the record, connect that record, and then I'll sync back that I did so. So I'm using that tracker record as my integration point and communication channel between the instances.
So ultimately, you're going to create like an equal and opposite flow. This can push back the other direction. Is that right?
So the update remote is going to be the same on all the instances, but what it'll do is it'll sync from the instance that it's on to all of the other ones.
It'll say, okay, if I have a dev ID, if I'm the dev instance, go to all these other guys and then push
doesn't
this.
Even matter which one you are.
Okay.
I updated the record locally. If I update it locally, push that to the other instances.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how we're going to handle our e-bonding is if the update happened locally, which almost all the updates are going to be local. Then what I'll probably have to do is in my remote update, set a flag to say, hey, I did this from remote.
So like right now, the one that you created has dev ID populated, right? Because that was the return from the flow.
Yes.
Your one that you created does not have dev ID populated.
That's correct. It did not.
Is that going to be a flag where you say, if I don't have dev ID populated, that means I am the one just pushing out, or do you want to mirror that in there?
So I'm not sure which thing I'm going to flag on yet. Okay. So I probably need to create a field just for that, just to say remote or not remote update. So I think we've gone around a few times on live code about this. But the best way I've ever had to solve that issue is just when I'm doing a sync, set the sync flag, and then anything local unsets that. So any update locally unsets that, and the remote and the updates from outside in, check the box.
Okay.
Interesting. So the next step is to do this update remote incident, essentially update remote tracker. And we're going to follow this e-bonding example similarly again, which is we're going to sync the data that we need to sync between the instances of ServiceNow. And I think that what we want to do is make it generic enough that it doesn't matter which of the instances is performing that, because I want to run the same flow and same process on all of them as far as the e-bonding part goes. Is update to the build tracker record, syncs to all the other instances to escalate an incident from their instance to the remote, to the remote place. And in many cases, that's even another ServiceNow instance. And so it's very common to have, hey, we've got our incident record, you've got your remote ticketing record. We need to make updates to ours and you need to get it. You need to make updates to yours and we need to get that. And we need to keep these things in sync. And so that's what that idea of e-bonding comes from is I need to keep these two incidents related and in sync. Whether or not they're the same type, that they're actually both ServiceNow ones, isn't as important as I need to sync these things at these connection points bidirectionally. So it's
that's typically what the correlation ID field is used for. Is what is the ID of the remote record?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So in our case, we're going to use a sys ID. We're doing e-bonding between ServiceNow instances, and we're going to create the remote record with the same sys ID.
Okay. Well, this is all good background for me because I was a little surprised when I looked in there and I saw the table API, because I thought e-bonding was a whole separate different beast, and I didn't realize it was kind of it's more of a strategy than a thing, I guess is the way it's saying it.
Right. And that actually did reasonably use up our time. So I'll stop this.
All right.
We'll go back on video.
All right. Good stuff.
So yeah, that e-bonding example, the company I was just last at, we just started the process of bonding their ServiceNow instance with our ServiceNow instance, because they were managing our Epic space actually. So the electronic medical record system, they were starting to take over the infrastructure for that and host it for us. And so we definitely needed a easy communication point between us and them. And the goal is to even e-bond their service catalog and have many connection points between their ServiceNow instance and ours.
Cool. All right, good stuff. All right, so there is more to be done on this. We will you for sure will not be doing it next week because you will be in Amsterdam. And I think
the following week you'll be joining me. So we'll be doing developer days in Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and Stockholm. And we'll be doing developer meetups paired with each of those events. So there are meetups on meetup.com for those three events that you're welcome to come join us if you're anywhere near Amsterdam, Stockholm, or Copenhagen. It will be Jason McGee and I at the Amsterdam one, and then Dave will be there with us for the Stockholm and Copenhagen ones.
So Stefan, we expect to see you there. See your smiling face. Okay, cool. And then next week, I'm going to try to get a special guest while we're down. unconfirmed because I haven't asked our special guest yet, but we'll try to get that, try to arrange that.
If they can't make it, I'm taking you up on that OAuth knowledge.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks very much. So let's go around the horn. Andrew, let's hear your thoughts on your beer.
All right. So my young double chocolate stout